Doctors tell me 5 years.
5 would be a miracle.
In that case, I should get to work.
Welcome to Shalom Worlds Beyond the Vision, a show that features faith-based film and television. I'm your host, Joelle Maryn, and today we're going behind the scenes of the new film, Cabrini.
The filthy Dagos, they just keep coming.
Mio papà si è suicidato e mia mamma è morta di tifo.
This incredible film is based on the true story of St. Francis Xavier Cabrini, also known as Mother Cabrini. She was a bold woman of faith who, through the strength of God, accomplished mighty deeds.
And he called me and he said, I want to make a film about Mother Cabrini. And I said, Mother who?
When she was alive, she didn't consider herself a saint. She was not Saint Mother Cabrini. She was Francesca, trying to get something done in 5 points. That was her perspective.
You have an election coming up, do you not?
I believe I'm being threatened by a nonce.
We are blessed today to be joined by the writer of the film, Barr, and producer, Leo Severino. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you so much.
It's such a blessing to have you here with us today. I have to be honest with you, I am actually of Italian heritage, and my grandparents were Italian immigrants. So this film has touched me to the core more than you can ever imagine. And there's so many of us that don't realize the story of what the Italian immigrants suffered. The orphanage that Mother Cabrini founded is actually 15 minutes from my hometown. And my grandmother was an orphan at 8 years old. Her aunt had taken 14 children, and 2 of them, the stepfather, there's her stepbrother and stepsister, put in the orphanage that Mother Cabrini founded. So I have driven by that orphanage more times than you can imagine in my lifetime. And actually my family would go every year, pray the rosary, donate to the orphanage. My grandfather had to work very hard and live the American dream. But to see what the Italians suffered when they came to this country is just unbelievable, and a story that needs to be told, and the power of what Mother Cabrini did. Rod, I'd like to switch to you for a minute, because as the writer, let me just tell you, the writing in this film is wonderful, and it pierces the heart. Like scripture pierces the heart, the writing just pierces to the heart. One of my favorite lines is, we can serve our weakness or we can serve our purpose, not both. And upon the doctor telling Mother Cabrini she only had 2 to 3 years to live, she responds quickly and boldly with, I should get to work. Please share with us who Mother Cabrini is, what she accomplished, and how you were led to write this film.
She was a woman who had weaknesses, physical weaknesses. She was sick. She had tuberculosis. She fell into the water and almost drowned when she was a little girl, and that created all kinds of health issues that persisted, stayed with her through her whole life. So she was somebody who had to overcome tremendous inner physical adversity. But not even close to that was the adversity that she had to face in the world around her when she came to America. People that didn't care about the Italians, people who thought the Italians were, as you cited earlier, barely better than animals. It was a very, very different time. Italians were considered the lowest of the low. And it's hard for us to imagine that now, because Italians have become completely integrated into American life. There's no issue. But in those first generations, it was quite different. And she, as an Italian immigrant, faced all of that, plus being a woman in a man's world. And so she had enormous headwinds that she had to work against to serve the suffering immigrants that she came to serve. So every day, every moment, she was faced with that decision. Do I serve my weakness or do I serve my purpose?
Yeah, I think it was shocking for me to hear the names that Italians were called, like guinea pig. And, I've heard the name guinea or whatever. But now we think of Italy and Italians, even as Americans, we think, oh, good food. Because look at how many amazing Italian restaurants the Italians have brought to their culture. But that was not what they suffered when they first came here, to almost like have to prove their worth, that they were human beings like everybody else. I couldn't believe how they were looked down upon. So what led you to get involved in this film? Like, what was the fire behind it?
Well, the executive producer, through Leo, came to me and said, we would like to do a film on the first American saint. And I will be honest, my first response was, I don't really want to write a movie about a saint. I don't know how to do that. It doesn't, it doesn't seem like a movie. But I didn't know anything about her. And so then I read about her and I discovered, wow, what a powerhouse, what a incredible story. The ultimate underdog story. She had to overcome all of those obstacles that we just talked about. And then it became very clear to me that I don't have to write a story. Of course she's a saint and now, but when she was alive, she didn't consider herself a saint. She was not Saint Mother Cabrini. She was Francesca trying to get something done in 5 points. That was her perspective. And so she needed to go do what she needed to do with that incredible determination and that incredible love, those incredible obstacles. And that makes a great story. That's an underdog story, and it's a rocky story. And if you start that engine, it will run.
Amen. Yeah, we love the underdog story because quite honestly, we are all the underdog. Even what you just said, that at first you thought, oh, I can't do this, write a story about a saint. Like we never feel like worthy or how can we do this? Or I mean, you've written amazing things, but there's always just that inner voice, one telling us we can't do it and that other like fire that says, oh yeah, like you're called to do that. And that's the Holy Spirit. So first of all, thank you for not listening to the false voice and going with the true voice, because the writing in this, like I just can't imagine it being done by anybody else. And that is a story for all of us, that when God calls us to do something, we may not always like say yes right away or think we can do it, but we need to look at the why, what's underneath it. And it is this fire inside that says, we can do this. We're all the underdog. You know, we need to bring this story to help more people because it's not about us, right? It's about like, what can we do our little part to bring more people to Christ and to goodness in the world that so desperately needs it.
Shall we begin? My sisters, if we are to build an empire of hope, we must first conquer New York.
This is not a place for you.
Would you be kind enough to take us to our orphanage?
And then a hero comes along.
Now we need to fill it with children.
This was the door to my heart.
You can do all things. All things in Him who strengthens us. Rats have it better than the children of the immigrant.
Be careful, Mother, or this place will eat you alive.
Doctors tell me 5 years.
2.
In that case, I should not overcome.
You have swatted the hornet's nest. This is about the kind of New York we want.
Leo, I want to switch over to you in a minute because you've produced many amazing films, including Sound of Freedom, which we covered right here on Beyond the Vision, Little Boy, and Bella, all amazing stories. How did you get involved with this project?
Well, thank you so much for the kind words about the projects. I got involved kind of in the same way that Rod got involved, which is the executive producer had it on his heart. He had this great devotion to Mother Cabrini. His name is Eustace Wolfington. And he called me and he said, I want to make a film about Mother Cabrini. And I said, Mother who? I had no idea who she was. And no idea she was the first American saint, no idea anything about her life. And he told me, well, she was this nun in the 1900s. And I said, well, stop right there, Eustace. That sounds very expensive. It's about someone who no one knows, that lived in the 1800s, so that requires creating a period piece, you know, construction and wardrobe and props and everything else. It's going to be a very expensive ordeal. But then he said, basically, ye of little faith, you know, and he told me her story and he sent a book for me to read. And when I started seeing the depth and the beauty of this woman, I thought, okay, well, this is a story that needs to be told. And so I instantly called Rod, and thankfully he said yes to writing that beautiful script.
Rod, I want to go back over to you a second and talk a little bit more about Mother Cabrini, because she was a force to be reckoned with. She had so many no's to reach a yes, and I love the line, we are bold or we die. I mean, this is serious. We are bold or we die. And then when she was told, you would have made an excellent man, she replied, oh no, men could never do what we do. So, I mean, she faced a lot of challenges and things in her way. What role did her faith and trust in God and His providence have in helping her to not take a step back, but rather to keep moving forward, regardless of what was coming against her?
Well, that was everything. Her faith was everything. That was the fire, the engine that allowed her to do all of this. Now, I also believe that she was an ambitious person. And I think that's wonderful. I think it's great. I think it's fascinating as a character. So while there's absolutely no doubt that faith was the engine, she also had those natural human inclinations to, when someone says you can't do something, she said, well, watch me do it. And when someone said a woman can't do that, she'd say, watch out, I'm coming through. Now, is that there's an aspect of faith to it, and there's an aspect of a competitive athlete would have that. You don't think I can do a 4-minute mile? I'm going to run a 4-minute mile. There's a competitive fire there that I think works with the faith in her, that shows up in her entrepreneurship, for example. I mean, she was one of the great business people, period, as on the level of Vanderbilt, on the level of Rockefeller. Not supposed to be able to do that. They just weren't allowed. There was no way that a woman could accomplish that. And I think that faith and that ambition fired her to do things that she needed to get done for the suffering people that were her children.
And that's a great point, Rod. When we come against something and, we kind of feel like we hit a wall, we could either shrink back or say, how am I going to break through this wall and move forward? And she's a great example of never give up just because somebody says no. Because if she gave up, none of these amazing things would have happened. I mean, she ended up forming hundreds of orphanages, schools, and hospitals around the world. And if her first no, her second no, her 10th no, if that was just the end, these things would never happen, and there would be no film right now.
I speak for the immigrants who wager everything on America. I speak for those little girls abandoned to the streets, for their fathers who die alone in ghettos. A word of hope, a touch, a medicine of a loving hand. These are the things that change the world.
Your Holiness, the world is too small for what I intend to do.
But a hero lies in you.
And Leo, this testimony, Mother Cabrini's testimony of how we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. By the way, she wasn't walking through the strength of Christ. None of us can accomplish any of this without His strength. So Leo, can you discuss with us, maybe some of the things you needed the strength of Christ to overcome these filming challenges? Everybody has filming challenges. We don't get to see the behind the scenes. And possibly if there were any miracles that happened through the intercession of Mother Cabrini herself.
Well, we made Mother Cabrini the executive producer of this film. So she's going to show up in the credits as executive producer. We really felt her presence overshadowing this film. And every film is, in one sense, a miracle. There's thousands and thousands of films that attempt to be written, that attempt to be made every single year by very capable individuals. And some of the projects are very beautiful. And most of those either never get made or never make it to the screen. And then you add on top of that a film, as I mentioned, that's a period piece, which requires that it's very expensive, that you have to have the right locations, the right props, the right wardrobes, the right acting. All these sorts of things have to come together. Well, this film came together during COVID. And it was one of the few films that during COVID, we had some breakouts of COVID on set. And yet it never stopped production, it never paused production, never halted production. So thing after obstacle after obstacle were in our way, and they were overcome. So hopefully that love and devotion to this project comes through in the final work.
In that case, I should not do work.
You have swatted the hornet's nest. This is about the kind of New York we want.
Bisogna avere tanto coraggio per scoprire cosa siamo pronti ad essere.
We are all children of God.
Get out!
And you dismiss us.
Rod, what are the key takeaways that you're hoping, through the example of Mother Cabrini, that you want the audience to walk away with in our own lives so we can actually make the world a better place?
Well, I think we've touched on a few of them. Certainly her determination, desire to serve above all else. She said a life with no service is not a life worth living, is a life wasted. It was all about service. And not just service, but service to the poorest of the poor, service to the most marginalized, service to those who sometimes we shrink away from because we don't want to be near that suffering. And she was drawn to it in the same way that Jesus always was. And that is just an incredible thing. And it's something for Catholics, it's something for Christians of all stripes, and it's something for humans. It's a universal, transcendent principle that touches every human heart. We hope that energy, that love, comes through the movie in some way and touches people's hearts, and they take that into their lives and move into some kind of service. Even the smallest of service can make a big difference.
Yeah, and in particular, her work with orphans, it's not a thing of the past, and I think even in this world where we experience so little of love, or maybe didn't have healthy figures of mothers or fathers, we all kind of can feel an orphan spirit sometimes, or feel alone, and that the message is that we can be the hands, the feet, the heart, the hugs to someone in need, and to keep our eyes out for those that are underprivileged or that are truly orphans. Like when I was watching the film, I just wanted to hug these kids. I just was moved as a mother to just want to take them into my arms, and so I pray it does that for the audience as well. Leo, Mother Cabrini, she built this, it's an empire of hope. And she began this mission trusting. She started it, and then she just trusted that the means would come to complete her vision. And guess what they did? So that also tells us, just go out there and do it, build it, and he will come, right? Just get it started. She even used the media, we use the media to get the message out to reach more people. That's why we're here today, because it's our sincere hope that this film reaches as many people as possible around the world. Leo, tell us, how can we watch this film?
Well, that notion of begin the mission and the means will come, that's very much every independent film. Because if you don't have a studio backing it, then you don't know if you're going to make it into theaters and whatnot. Thankfully on this film, we began the mission and the means came. After we finished the film, Angel Studios picked up Sound of Freedom and distributed it. And they are also distributing Cabrini on March 8th. It couldn't be with a better studio. The Harmon brothers are just unbelievably great marketers. They understand the audience. They understand the level of art that we want to make by way of our films and how to get that to a mass audience as possible. So this is going to be their first global release. It's going to be in theaters everywhere starting March 8th. And the best way is, even now, these guys have managed, they're the only studios that are doing this, that even today you can go to their website. It's angel.com, and it's /Cabrini, or just on angel.com, just click on Cabrini. In your hometown, you can buy tickets for theaters in your hometowns in advance right now. The actual theater that's nearest to you with the actual time that you would like. And then if later you change your mind and you want to change to a different time, they have the capability in their technology to do that as well. So the more people we can get to buy advance tickets now, the broader the theater reach we could get so that this film can get out to the world. So I would urge all of your listeners to please, if moved, to please go check out angel.com Cabrini.
I will speak to the mayor, signore.
Man, I feel like a woman.
You think you're gonna march in here and tell me?
I want the best hospital for your people and for mine.
What kind of New York do we want?
We are survivors, are we not? We are.
Let me tell you, the fact that they're making it so easy to get the tickets and get them now, let me just tell you, there is no risk. Go out and buy your ticket, because this is a film that the only risk will be is if you don't see it, you won't be able to experience what God has in store for your heart. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. As an Italian immigrant, I'm a huge promoter of this film. Have a little bit of bias there, but let me tell you, it was well made. It's stunning in every way. It's heart-piercing in every way, and may God bring so much good out of this. God be with y'all. Shalom.
Thank you so much, Joel. Appreciate
Thank you so much. Enjoyed it.
Thank you. For all of you watching, Cabrini is a stunning film that will inflame your heart to trust in God and be a light in someone's darkness. I can't wait for you to see it, and I hope to see you again real soon. God be with you. Shalom.